Yeah, I always take notes of things because I'm always trying to figure out what questions we can add or remove, what's going to be best, what people are using. Because then when I get a consensus, like we add certain things in, but then we also can like take things out, which can like help sometimes. Because, as you can assume, some people see all the questions and are like, this is too much. Whereas for other people, it's necessary. So it's like this happy medium when it comes to qualifying a lead properly. So you don't just have like, garbage coming through the pipeline.
Yeah, I personally I prefer the more data the better for me, but I'm also a vet in the industry, right? So it's like I know when and how to use my ammo, right? When the one thing I will warn new people that are maybe that's their first time trying out IUL leads or anything is don't look at that financial that monthly contribution column because it's very
Mm.
easy to judge leads, because if I get one lead that comes in that says, hey, I want to do $100 a month, and I get another lead that comes in, it's like, hey, I want to contribute $500 a month. Which one am I going to be more prone towards calling, right? But it's you really just have to kind of ignore that column in the beginning, and it's most important to get people on the phone because once you get them on the phone, you build rapport with them. You go in, as you're 15, 20, 30 minutes into your conversation, and then you talk about budget, right? And then let them decide, right? Because I know that they click the button on the form, but let them decide and be conservative with your numbers because there's been lots of times where somebody's said on the form, hey, I want to contribute $100 a month, and they end up doing like 250 or vice versa, right? It's like they want to contribute $500 a month and they end up doing like $300 a month or sometimes the opposite. And to that point, I always tell people to be conservative. It's a lot easier to increase down the road than it is to decrease. So if you're going back and forth, it's like, hey, I might be able to do $300, but I know for a fact I'm going to be able to do $200 a month. I'm always going to start them on $200 a month just for persistency reason because I don't want that thing to charge back 3 months later.
Correct, correct. Smart, smart. And I appreciate you for sharing that because I think agents do need to understand that. Like at the end of the day, the job here is to keep money, not just to make money.
Yeah.
And we gotta keep it on the books, y'all. I have a question because I don't know this. Are you doing one call closes? Are you doing booked appointments? What's your process for when people do pick up? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing both. It's based off of their availability. So I put, if they have time to sit down and talk for 30 minutes to an hour as I'm dialing through my leads, then absolutely I'll do that. The odds of that are fairly low. It's maybe 20 or 30% of my sales are like that. So the majority end up being booked appointments. Not that that's my preference. It's just the way that, life is with getting people on the phone and their availability. But it doesn't hurt at all to book appointments because then, like we've talked about this before, Trey, is like I'm sending them marketing material
Yep.
as we go into the appointment. So like I'm sending them information to read. I'm sending them videos to watch, right? And the more information, if they watch in either one of those videos or read anything about IULs, then the closing ratio goes through the roof because they're well educated coming in to the appointment, right? And there's still can close if they don't read any of the pre-appointment material, right? But if they read that material, one, they're showing up, and two, they're buying a policy.
Right, 100%. For those that don't know offline, without sharing too much of your sauce, bro, can you explain to them conceptually what you were mentioning when you were saying that you send out the video? And can you also explain to them, I know, but for the layman's person, why is that increasing the closing rate, the show rate, etc.?
Yeah, these are all materials and videos that I found within the agent lead lab, agent side of things, the trainings, the videos, the modules, right? This is all information that I've gotten from Trey and the team. And it's just using your resources wisely, I guess is the best way to describe it is if they're all of the training that's available to you, that's what one of the things that makes Trey and the team different is that there's not a lot of lead vendors out there that provide training around the leads, right? It's just they're just selling leads to you and it's kind of like, hey, good luck. There's tons of training that's revolved once you do enter the community and become a part of the team and join the group chat, right? So I simply took some of that material, some of those videos, some of those documents and put it a part of my SOP, right? My standard of procedure that every time I book an appointment with a client, they're getting blasted is not the right word, right? They're automatically getting a text and an email from me with this information. And it's all just information marketing material about IULs, right? Like they're 8-minute videos, 5-minute videos, right? Little documents that take a minute to read. But the more information that they can read beforehand, the better, because it's less selling on my part, right? It's like they can oftentimes, when clients do read that material before my appointment, they're already sold, and it doesn't matter who the agent on the other line is, right? It's like I'm just lucky to be that agent and write them the policy. They're looking to get one as soon as possible.
Right, right. No, I mean, and I think that's absolutely crucial for people to understand how powerful it is to actually have that pre-document information sent over to the client before, they end up meeting with them. Are you doing these appointments? By the way, this is always my favorite thing, and I ask it because it really shows how agents, communicate. Are you doing your appointments on Zoom, or are you doing your booked appointments on the phone?
Yeah, everything's over the phone unless they ask for a Zoom. And I'm happy to hop on a Zoom with them if they want. It's just, to me, it's simpler to do it over the phone. But if they do ask for a Zoom, then I'm more than happy to hop on a Zoom with them.
Yeah, so let me play devil's advocate because I get asked this question by, you can imagine the type of clients we have, some that are more, this way you should structure it versus that. I'm not here to argue with people. But I'm an agent and I'm like, my question to you would be, well, Jamie, I hear what you're saying, but how do you go through a presentation about an IU without, getting on Zoom and showing them the illustration? Can you I know the answer, but for the people that don't know, can you walk them through why you would do that and or like how you do it for that person that's wondering?
Yeah, I mean, if you're selling IULs correctly, you don't need an illustration to sell, right? It's like your job is not to sell an illustration. Your job is to sell a vehicle, and the vehicle being a tax-free retirement account, right? So that's really, I guess, the simplest way for me to answer that question is that I rarely ever send illustrations out, because that's where I've gotten in trouble in the past. Not, this is where I've made mistakes in the past, is where I've sent illustrations out and the product doesn't perform, or the carrier changes the caps, in terms of what they can make every year, things like that. And it doesn't match up to that original illustration. So I rarely send illustrations out. I'm focused on selling the product. I'm focused on selling whatever reasoning. I mean, one of the first questions I ask on my appointments is like, Trey, I see the form that you filled out here, but tell me what's really caught your eye about these IULs. What's piqued your interest, right? And whatever they tell me is the selling point that I'm going to come back 3, 4, 5 times throughout the appointment. And if you do that, you don't need an illustration.
Right. And just so everybody understands what he's saying too, he's essentially saying that he's focused more on the concept and how the product can solve that problem
Yeah.
by pitching the concept rather than having to get these detailed numbers. Because at the end of the day, your job is to help them solve whatever problem. That's why he's asking that question on the front end. So it can actually help you on the back end when it comes time to closing, building value, actually assessing the importance of this product to whatever the problem is, right?